Hello and welcome. We're so excited to have you for our virtual kitchen gathering. We're excited to be in your homes this evening, and we're excited to welcome you to the Project Angel Heart Kitchen. My name is Andrea Pacheco. I'm the individual giving officer here at Project Angel Heart, and I'm going to walk us through a few housekeeping items before we get started. So, first of all, you may have a screen that is looking pretty busy right now with lots of screens popping up. The best way to view tonight's event is by clicking the active speaker button at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Also, if you have any questions for us tonight, you can get in touch with us by using that chat box down below. I'll be jumping off of camera and behind my laptop and monitoring that chat box, so feel free to send questions there for either me or for Chef Summer. You can also email us at info@projectangelheart.org. Now is also the perfect time to open up that bottle of wine. Make sure you have all of your ingredients. If you are cooking along with us at home this evening and we get ahead of you in our demonstration, you might want to have a pad of paper ready so that you can jot down notes as we go along. Tonight is a really special opportunity to join us and have Chef Summer Polson guiding you through a recipe. Many of you know Chef Summer. She's been the sous chef here at Project Angel Heart for many years. Right now she's serving as our interim executive chef. We also have a special home chef that Summer is going to be guiding through the recipe this evening, and that home chef is our president and CEO, Owen Ryan. Tonight we'll be cooking a recipe, our smoked pork ragu. It's a recipe near and dear to our hearts. As many of you know, we lost Brandon Foster, who was our executive chef here at Project Angel Heart in July. That left a big hole in our hearts here and in our kitchen. And one of the ways we're honoring him is by making this recipe that we really, really enjoyed. So we hope you enjoy it as well. And I think we're ready to get started. Owen and Summer, you guys ready?
We are very ready.
ready.
Welcome, everyone. We are really excited to have you tonight. My name is Owen Ryan. I'm the president and CEO of Project Angel Heart, and I am delighted. We have been planning this for a while now, trying to find a way to bring our kitchen into yours. This is a really exciting moment because so much of what's great about Project Angel Heart is how we all band together around our mission. And the last few months, it feels like we haven't really had a lot of those opportunities to be together. So this is a way that we can create another one. I'm going to be cooking with a lot of support from Summer here, and you'll be cooking along. But let's say you fall behind, or let's say for any reason we move too far ahead, don't worry. We are recording this whole session, and we'll share it with everybody who's with us tonight. Now, I don't normally find myself on this side of the table, but I feel like I'm in good hands, right, Summer?
You're in pretty good hands. I feel confident. I think you're going to do great.
Okay, awesome. So I think one of the things that I want to start with before we actually start cooking is to talk a little bit about our safety protocols. So you'll notice that, well, you can't notice because you're at home, but Summer and I are the only two people who don't have masks on right now. Everybody who's working with us tonight behind the camera has a mask on. Summer and I are both standing on markers that mean we're at least 6 feet apart, and so you may see us being a little bit stiff. That's just so we know we're keeping enough distance for each other and for our colleagues that are here tonight. In terms of kitchen safety, I'm wearing gloves. I'm the one who's cooking. Even though this is for myself, it's still a helpful measure. We've got a number of other safety things that are in place, such as cleaning and sanitizing everything before we finish. And just in case things really go wrong, we got this honker right here, but let's hope we don't have to use this. So we are good to go.
All right. So let's start by heating up the olive oil in the pan.
Awesome.
Let's get the pan on like medium-high heat.
Okay.
You can go ahead and put the olive oil in.
Awesome.
And I'm going to go through the ingredients list. So we have some lean ground pork. We have onions. We have some garlic. We have chicken stock. We have a little bit of white wine. And we have 2 cans of tomato product. I believe it says 2 14.5-ounce cans. That is just 2 regular cans of tomato product. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to start by adding the pork in once your oil is hot enough.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Does it look hot enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Once the pork is in there, what I want you to do is take that wooden spoon. We're going to use a wooden spoon because we're using an enamel pot that is very fancy and we don't want to scratch it up.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, wooden spoon enamel pot.
Yes.
I should know that.
So you're going to take that wooden spoon, you're going to break that pork up into tiny chunks and let it brown.
And if you're experiencing what I'm right now, like it's only the tiniest bit of sizzle. I think I want a little bit more than this. So I'm going to turn my heat up a little bit more, which forgive me means looking down here. Yeah, okay.
So at home, if you are browning your pork now would be a good time if you haven't sliced onions to get those sliced. If you haven't chopped parsley, to chop parsley. If you need to grate Parmesan cheese, just to gather up the rest of your ingredients and get everything ready to go. So that way, when this is done, you can put it all together.
Yeah, oh, this smells amazing. If you guys, I'm sure whatever you're cooking tonight smells amazing, but I have to say this already smells really good.
So for our dish, we are using pork, like I said. But if you were doing this at home and you didn't want to use pork, or maybe had an aversion to pork, you could use lean ground beef. You could use, if you wanted to do a vegetarian version, you could use lentils, or you could use like root vegetables, like any sort of hard root vegetable, like sweet potatoes, turnips, parsnips. Those would work really well. At my house, when we make this dish, we use lamb, and I typically serve it over pasta the first night, and then over polenta the second night.
This is looking really good. I will say I've tried this with ground turkey, thought it worked really well there too. I think it was really good. Yeah, I think this is a really kind of modifiable meal, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in a bit. But one of the things I love about this is I cook in one pot all winter long. This is literally what I cook all winter long. And having tried this recipe already, you can change this up a lot of different ways and make this how you want. I think this pork is going to need another minute or two to get ready. So while we wait for this to simmer, while yours is simmering, I want to give you a snapshot of what life at Project Angel Heart looks like now. Ever since March 13th, our world, just like yours, has been turned upside down. But the reason we're celebrating with you is because you stuck with us. In March, I wrote to all of you and said, hey, we are in trouble, right? We can't do any of the things that we thought we were going to do, and we need you to come out and support us. And boy, did you ever come out. I've got to say, I am new to Colorado, and it is really nice to learn how Coloradans take care of each other. This has been a beautiful moment for our organization, and thanks to all of your support. And because you all came out of the woodworks, we have served more meals to more people than ever before. And so we're going to give you a quick snapshot while this simmers of what work looks like right now. So here we go. So that's it. That's what life looks like right now, and we really could not be doing this without your support. The need is very real. We have new people coming to our services every single week who are finding that they need our medically tailored meals. So you guys are the solution there, and thank you for being part of that. This pork looks awesome.
Does it?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for supporting us during this time. We knew it was going to be difficult. I think some of us just didn't realize how difficult it was going to be, and we just appreciate all the support that you've provided us. All right, the pork is looking good?
Yeah, looks great. Yeah.
Okay, let's add the onions and the garlic.
Awesome.
Okay, so when you add the roasted garlic, let's make sure that you mash it up in there. You want to make sure that somebody is not eating a whole clove of garlic, unless everyone is eating a whole clove of garlic.
Okay, I have the simplest questions for you, and you're gonna see what a newbie I am right here. But first is, what is a julienne onion? I mean, I can see it, but like, what is it?
It's the pretty way to chop onions. It's the way we chop all the onions in the Project Angel Heart kitchen. People that come in and volunteer, especially on Mondays or Wednesdays, chop a lot of onions. I try to teach them to slice the onion up the hill, and then you flip it and slice up the hill again. This makes it so you leave with all the fingers that you came with, and it makes us end up with really nice, evenly sliced onions.
They look beautiful, which means you can tell that I didn't chop them, but they look great. And then, sorry, my other question was around roasted garlic. So last time I did this, I didn't have roasted garlic. but I didn't know what to do. So what do you do if you don't have roasted?
So if you don't have roasted garlic and you do have garlic, what I like to do is, as I'm heating up the oil in the pan, I'll throw in some raw cloves and I will just toast them for a little bit so they get brown on all sides. I'll pull them out and then set them to the side, let them cool off a little bit, chop them and add them back in later on, like when it would be appropriate.
Great, awesome. These are looking a little more translucent. They probably need another minute or two to kind of create that base. What are we looking for that tells us this is ready for the next step?
You are looking for onions that are translucent.
Okay.
You're looking for some brown bits to start like showing up on the bottom. When you don't cook with a lot of salt, the brown bits that are on the bottom is called fond, and it actually just builds a layer of flavor and just creates a little bit more depth. And that's something that we utilize all the time here in this kitchen.
Interesting. So I notice I'm moving this around a lot. Maybe I should actually let it sit for a bit.
Let it sit.
Kind of let it get a little
Yes.
bit more brown.
I always tell people when they're stirring, when like volunteering and cooking with the tilt skillets, because you want to stir it, because it's fun. Just let it set for a second. The brown is good. That's flavor.
I love it. Now, I think this could use another second or two. I'm going to take your prompt on the tilt skillet. If you folks don't know what a tilt skillet is, it is these honkers behind me right here. This is what all of this gets cooked in all the time. This is what, but in just a minute, I'm going to ask Summer to talk a little bit about like the volume that we cook all the time and how many meals this makes. But I'll tell you, like most days, if you're walking into our kitchen, these are full to the brim with meals. And many of you over the last few years supported us to get more of these tilt skillets. So here they are in the flesh. So Summer, when you make this for people,
Yes.
What do you make?
So the last time we made this, the smoked pork ragu in this kitchen, we made, I have to look at my sheet because it has a ton of info on it. We made 1,461 portions, which is
Okay, 1,461 portions.
Yeah,
This
1,461
is
portions.
what, like 3 or 4?
This technically is supposed to serve 8, but maybe just 2.
Okay.
So that was 504 pounds of pork, and that was 45 pounds of ground turkey. It was 5 different modifications just in the tilt skillets. So that means each tilt skillet had a different modification in it. And then once it comes out of the tilt skillets, it gets labeled and it gets modified again according to starch, if there are starch requirements. So this went with penne pasta. Maybe somebody is on a gluten-free diet, so we do a gluten-free version. This typically gets garnished with Parmesan cheese. So we will do several of them without the Parmesan cheese garnish, so they are a dairy-free version. We also make sure to modify the veg that goes on side and have a GI-friendly veg. This product, or this has tomato product in it. So we have a group of clients that can't have tomato product. So what we would do is substitute roasted red pepper puree, and you can do that at home as well. So when you get roasted red peppers, it's usually in a jar. You could just replace the 2 cans of tomato product with 2 jars of roasted red peppers and just puree them. And you would end up with the same sauce, just has a slightly different flavor. But if you ask any of the Project Angel Heart chefs, like any given day, it's a 50-50 split of ones of us that love the roasted red pepper version versus ones of us that love the tomato version.
That is so true. We definitely all have favorite recipes around here. And you know, that kind of work that Summer just talked about, there's like 12 to 18 different ways that we modify, is really the heart of what Project Angel Heart does. If you've heard us talk about food is medicine, that's exactly what it is, that modification and that tailoring. So you may know of a lot of our great partners like Food Bank of the Rockies or Meals on Wheels, and they are very important for serving a lot of people in need around Colorado. What makes us a little bit different there is we add an extra element of people who have a medical need to their diet so that we tailor our food based on what their needs are. I say a lot of the time what it means is, you leave the doctor and they have recommendations around your diet. We're the people who make those recommendations real and turn them into food for people. So I think this looks great. This is getting pretty brown. I turned it down a bit so we'd have a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to turn it? Let's turn it back up just a little bit. I think your flame maybe went out.
Yeah, I think it went out, so I'll do it.
So just, there you go.
Awesome.
You got it. All right, so we are going to start adding the liquid into it.
Okay.
We're going to start with the white wine. The reason we're going to start with the white wine is because I want to deglaze I want to get those brown bits off the bottom of the pan.
Okay, now this is one of those terms that I always hear on television and pretend that I understand.
So all it is using a small amount of liquid, typically something that is slightly acidic, but it doesn't have to be acidic. It's a small amount of liquid that you want to heat up and pull the brown bits off the bottom of the pan because that is all the flavor. We don't want to leave any of that in the pan. Also, it makes the pan way easier to clean later on.
I got to tell you, this is a very common mistake I have. If I see brown bits in the bottom, I think I'm doing something wrong.
No.
So this is good to know.
Yeah.
We're kind of sopping it up right now.
So once that has reduced just a little bit, then we're going to go ahead and add the tomato
Okay.
and the chicken stock.
Both of the tomato?
Yeah, you can add both the tomato.
Great. Now, you talked about this already, but I noticed this recipe is very low in sodium, and
Yes.
the spices don't have any salt in them at all.
No.
What's your thought behind that?
This is just, so we do a lot of our own spice blends here. We make our own curry, we make our own seasoning salt. It's seasoning salt minus the salt. We just do that to keep the sodium low, and then that way we're in control of how much salt gets added.
I think that's awesome. I got to say, for some of you, my mom, who's at home watching this, has had congestive heart failure, and she is a diabetic, and like salt is a really important thing they always have to watch. So I know that this is like a big win recipe to know that we can make something really delicious. This is amazing. I've tried it. That doesn't have a ton of salt in it.
Okay, so now you're going to add 2 tablespoons of the Project Angel Heart seasoning mix. 2 tablespoons.
Just 2.
Just 2.
Okay.
Your packet at home has slightly more than that. There's enough to do this again. So just 2 tablespoons, that's measured out for you.
Oh, thank
This
you.
is, yeah, you're welcome.
thank
It's
you.
the least I could do. Then
Awesome,
you
we
have,
just stir it right in.
go ahead and stir it in.
Okay.
Don't stir so wildly.
Oh, okay. This is why we have Summer with us. I will say at any point during this, if you have a question about we're moving too fast, I know I'm from Jersey, I talk too fast. Any of those things, like throw a question in the chat, and we're gonna make sure we have all these pauses. As you guys have seen the recipe, it takes a few minutes. Things have to simmer, things have to cook. So if you have any questions about approach here, about ingredients, or just Summer's day job in general, throw them into the chat.
Okay, now we're gonna add your salt.
Awesome. This one right here.
Yep,
How much is this?
that is,
A bunch.
oh my gosh. I
Wait,
can't remember. It's,
we have a cheat sheet. Yeah, it's salt, guys.
I think it's a half a teaspoon, or half a tablespoon.
But honestly, depending on how you're modifying this for
somebody
yourself.
at home tell me if I'm right. Is it
Yes.
a half a tablespoon? I'm pretty sure it is. And then a little bit of pepper to taste. Here you go, sir.
This is Summer's baby, if you haven't seen this. So there's no way I'm taking your baby from you. I'm going to step away from the pot and let you do this. Give me
Okay.
just 1 second. It's all you, love.
Okay. Just tell me when.
I like pepper.
There we go. We're
Awesome.
good.
That felt very ceremonious, didn't it? Awesome. So then we're at this point. Turn it up, turn it down. What are we
We
doing?
want to turn it up. We're going to bring it to a boil. Bring to a boil, reduce to simmer. All sauce recipes say that somewhere in them. Bring to a boil, reduce to simmer. So we'll let it come up to a bubble, and then we'll reduce it to a simmer. And then when we reduce it to a simmer, what I like to do is put the lid on, leave it cracked ever so slightly.
Okay. So to bring it to a boil, I should stop stirring.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
It's hard to, yeah.
Okay.
Things that are moving don't like to boil.
Okay. Andrea, how are we doing online? Anybody with questions there about our menu, things we've got cooking right now?
We do have some great questions.
Awesome.
So Lynn Bryant is
Hey,
wondering
Lynn.
alternatives to ground pork besides lamb.
Alternatives to ground pork besides lamb. You could do ground turkey, or you could do ground chicken. I would just make sure that it is a blend of white meat and dark meat because you want a little bit higher fat content on it.
I gotta say that's 100% right. So I tried this with ground turkey, that kind you get at Costco that's really lean, and it just didn't have enough fat in it. So we ended up adding a little olive oil, which didn't totally cut it. So I think that recommendation around adding a little dark meat is spot on.
I think Lynn should try it with the lentils. I think she would like it with the lentils.
Yeah, and Summer's a big fan of the lentil version of this, which is really good.
Yeah.
It kind of makes a hearty winter fall
Especially
stew.
if you use the like red lentils or yellow lentils. It is like super pretty and it's incredible.
Awesome. Other questions we've got?
We've got a bunch of questions. So Kendra is wondering, please tell me you can use red wine instead of white wine if somebody maybe forgot to buy some red wine.
Did I forget to bring this question up? Because this was my question when we went through this recipe the first time. Kendra, so great.
You can totally use red wine. The reason we use white wine is you try to match the wine with the protein. So pork is white, so you use a white wine because you don't want your wine to overpower your protein. But really, in my house, it's whatever's open is what gets used. So if you have a bottle of rosé open, by all means, please use it.
Kind of like take the box and tip it over?
Yeah, you can take the box and tip it over. It's totally fine.
Now, if you're, I gotta say, when I learned that about like matching the color of your wine to the color of the meat, like that is mind blown stuff for me. But like you're like, oh yeah, of course. Like it's so intuitive. Sorry. Anyway, I know we've got more.
Jeff Bonchiker is wondering if you have a favorite brand of tomato sauce, Summer, or if you make your own.
So I don't particularly have a favorite brand of tomato sauce. I have a favorite brand of tomatoes that I will puree to use as tomato sauce. I use San Marzano tomatoes whenever I can find them. Sometimes King Soopers has them, Whole Foods always has them, and I will buy a few containers of those and I just keep them in the pantry and I puree those right in my blender.
I love it.
Yeah.
Can you blend them like in the pot, like hand
You,
blender? Or no? Well, not
you
in a hand
could,
pot, though.
but so they're typically whole tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
So how my husband likes to do it is he opens the can up and then puts on a glove and mushes them up and then dumps them in.
I love caveman cooking.
So, yeah.
Andrew, what else we got?
I'm gonna turn it
Elaine
down just a little
Fitzgerald
bit.
is wondering, for those of us who are not professional chefs and have maybe not roasted garlic at home before, any tips on the best way to do that?
So here we roast garlic that is already peeled because we would peel hundreds and hundreds. That would be all we did is peel garlic if we had to peel it. So we get it already peeled. I put it in a pan. I cover it with oil. I wrap it in aluminum foil. And then I roast it in the oven at 300 degrees for about 40 minutes. So you could do that in a much smaller version at home. You could just do a little saucepan with just enough oil to cover the garlic cloves, put a lid on it, or put a piece of aluminum foil over it and just roast it like that. And then not only do you have roasted garlic, but then you have roasted garlic oil, which can be like
Good
a whole
eats.
nother thing.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, before we do more questions, when is pasta time?
So pasta time, I would set your timers for if you're making it along with us, I'd set your timers for about the 30-minute mark, and that would give you time to cook pasta, so it would be done about the same time that the sauce is done.
So when this goes to simmer and cover it up, that's around pasta time.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like? I like saying pasta time.
Yes.
Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Sorry, more questions.
Yeah, our friend Amanda Donovan is wondering,
Hey, Amanda.
when they run out of the spice packets, what do they do? Because they're planning on making this one regularly. It's a great recipe.
When they run out of the spice packet, I suppose we could post the spice recipe online. I have it. So we could post it and then they could make it themselves.
We'll maybe have to make that part of our follow-up email along with the recording of the video. We'll get that spice packet recipe.
That's a great idea. And I will tell you, this spice packet was made in-house. Both Andrea and Summer and friends were standing around large tubs and hand blending with gloves those spices. So our office smelled amazing for 2 days after that.
Can I tell you that it had 6.6 pounds of smoked paprika in it?
Amazing. Was it on your clothes for days?
It was on my clothes for days, but I also had to call our spice vendor and ask him, do you have 6.6 pounds of smoked paprika? Because I know that this is probably more than anyone has ever purchased before.
I love
and it was exactly enough.
I love it. I'm going to turn this down. We can keep taking questions, though.
Great. Carl is wondering if we use fresh herbs here at Project Angel Heart.
Yes. Yeah. So we use oregano, we use thyme, we use chives. Really, this is a better question for Lynn Bryant. who is responsible for bringing in most of our herbs. But we use parsley. We use parsley and cilantro on a daily basis in the kitchen, usually about 5 pounds at a time. We use oregano about 2 pounds at a time. We use chives, tarragon, dill. Not as much dill as Lynn would like me to use. Not as much sage as she would like me to use. But yeah, we use a ton of fresh herbs. It's always on the whiteboard in the kitchen to clean and chop herbs all the time.
And if you haven't been to our building in a while, we have this incredible new greenhouse in the back where we hope to be able to continually grow more and more of our own fresh ingredients over time. So if you ever get a chance, if you're doing a Saturday delivery and you're coming to the Denver office, then make sure you stop by and look at the greenhouse. So we're going to take one more question.
We have a great program question. Kendra's wondering how many people do our meals support and how we go about freezing and transporting all those meals and getting them to folks.
Awesome. So I'll do the first part. You want to do the freezing and transport?
Sure.
So we do about 1,300 people a week is who we serve. That can translate to about 11,000 to 15,000 meals, depending on the needs of the people that are on our program at the time. But that goes out the door every single week. And so Summer and her team are preparing for a large number of people all week long.
So we prepare meals in the tilt skillets, like we said. Things go from the tilt skillets into pans, into these giant pans. They go into a cooler, they chill overnight, and then the next day they are put into meal trays, which looks a lot like a TV tray or like a frozen dinner tray. And it goes through a machine, it gets sealed, it gets labeled according to what the diet specifications are for that meal, and then it gets categorized in the freezer, which is a huge undertaking by our modified meals department. And then those meals get brought out of the freezer on Thursday. They get packed into bags and go out to our clients.
Yeah, and the vast majority of our meals, more than 95% of them, are hand delivered by volunteers every single week in Metro Denver and in the broader Colorado Springs area. If you're someone who would like to volunteer, you can find all of that information online about how to do that. We also, though, through our Meals for Care transition programs, increasingly have more and more contracts with providers who want us to ship meals across the state. So we can ship meals now to the Western Slope, to Pueblo. We can ship meals anywhere. And as of our most recent count, we were serving nearly a third of Colorado counties with our meals. So that has been a massive expansion. Again, I can't say it enough. Thanks to you guys. We wouldn't be doing this without all of the folks who have donated to our program. So I think we're going to do a little bit of television magic, right? So if you've been following along, yours is probably looking a little good. It might need a little bit longer, but we're not going to have you wait for this whole thing to simmer. So we're going to do a little bit of television magic and bring the finished pot in right now. I'll get out of your way.
Perfect. This is hot.
This is Marnie. Marnie's the one who's done a lot of the actual work this evening versus me, who's just being dramatic.
Don't touch it.
Thank you. I forgot. They told me that and had to remind me that. Thanks, Marnie.
You're welcome.
I don't know if can you guys see this from there? This looks amazing. This looks unbelievable. And so, before we start to wrap up with some other questions around closing, I did want to thank everyone for sticking through this. But more than that, I really meant what I said at the beginning. You stuck by us an incredibly difficult period when we didn't know what was going to happen. And I need to be honest, that period isn't over. We looked at our finances for next year, and because of so much of what makes Project Angel Heart great, that's from our pie sales to our Taste for Life Gala to all of our events that bring people into our facility and into our kitchen, all of those have been disrupted. We know now that we need to raise between October 1st and December 31st, $2 million in order to keep our commitment to all of our clients next year. That means that we're going to be giving 530,000 meals to people across the state of Colorado. This has been a tough environment for all of us. And the one thing that has consoled me all the time is we are creating good in the world. Every single one of these meals changes someone's life. Every time I have done a delivery, someone greets me at the door with tears in their eyes because they realize that other people are out there supporting them. That is absolutely true. Our office is flooded with thank you and support and people who've come out to be part of our program. So we can't do this without you. And after October 1st, we're going to come back to you again with a few more asks to help us reach our $2 million challenge. But the news is not all grim. I don't want to make it sound all super negative. We have great milestones ahead of us. Next year in February, we anticipate serving our 8 millionth meal. That's unbelievable. If you are one of the dozen of friends who was in St. Barnabas Church in the basement almost 30 years ago putting together a lasagna pan for people who are suffering from HIV, you have a lot to be proud of this organization today. But 8 million is a massive milestone in the state of Colorado and the nation overall. What we're doing here is transformational. And also, in line with our 8 millionth meal, next year is our 30th anniversary. This is an organization that has been built by Coloradans, supported by Coloradans for 30 years. You have each other to thank for taking care of one another, and we are so proud to be a part of that. So please, something you can do tonight for us, if you're not subscribed to our emails, please subscribe to our emails. Maybe you jumped off at one point, come jump back on. You're gonna see a lot. It's really the main way we can talk to you right now because of how much has gone online. So get back on, subscribe to our emails. You're gonna hear a lot more from us starting in October 1st. Okay, enough of that. I want to talk about how we start to finish this up.
Okay, don't touch it, it's hot.
Okay, I can't believe you had to remind me of that 3 times.
Okay, Marnie's coming in behind you. She's got pasta.
Ooh.
All right.
Remind me the type of pasta this is?
This is pappardelle pasta. It's a wide egg noodle.
Thanks, Marnie.
It's my favorite. Okay, so we are going to finish this with Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
Not all of it, because we want to sprinkle some on top.
Okay. So what, like half of it?
Yeah, like half of it.
Okay. Okay.
Yay.
And just stir it in?
Yes,
Okay.
just stir it in.
Oh,
Then
look
we're
at
going
that.
to add parsley and a squeeze of lemon juice. And you don't have to worry about seeds in the lemons. Marnie and I took the seeds out of the lemons for you. But don't expect this. Don't expect this
Ever
all the time.
again.
I'm not coming to your office and doing this.
This treatment ends tonight.
This ends
Thank you for joining us
here.
because they treat me well. So am I just sprinkling this on top or
You
is
can-
it really putting it in?
You can put it in. It's
Okay.
measured.
Oh, okay, great. And just stirring it right in.
Stir it in. And then squeeze of half of one of those lemons.
Just squeeze the lemon right in.
Yep, just right in. Okay.
What's the lemon for?
The lemon just brightens it all up. So you've had the pork and the tomatoes cooking in the oven for a long time, and it just makes everything just brighten right up.
Oh, I don't know if we mentioned that before. You told me other ways to let this simmer, right, if on the pot is not. How do you
So
do that?
if you don't want to do it on the stove, if you don't have time for that, you could do this in an Instapot. You could do this in the oven. You could put your oven at 350 and put this in the oven with a lid on it. That's actually how we simmered this one. We started it earlier and then we had to clean up the kitchen, so we just put it in the oven.
This looks amazing.
Okay.
You want me to plate it now?
Now I want you to make me
The
a
real test
really pretty plate of this.
with this.
Yes. Here, I'm gonna give you a towel so you can get the lemon juice off your hands.
Oh, thank you. I've got one right here. I can-
Okay.
Yeah.
And then here's this. This will help.
Oh, yes. A
There you
ladle
go.
would help. Thank you. Yes. Okay, so just ladling on top.
Ladle it on top.
Everyone at home.
Remember, this is enough for 8 people.
Okay.
We're only 2 people.
Why does this feel like the most dramatic part? I know she's watching me.
That looks good.
I mean,
Good.
I might
that-
plate that.
Is that
To be-
it? Is that
No,
No, that's
I-
fine. No more.
Oh, okay. I would definitely put more. Okay. I grew up in an Irish family, one of 6 boys. We need a lot more than that.
Okay. Sprinkle a little cheese on it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Make it, yeah.
I'm,
So-
I'm lacto-into. Can I?
Yeah,
Oh,
you-
but it's
you
already
can-
in there. I'll take a pill.
No. You already put it in there.
Yeah, I just remembered. Okay.
All right.
That looks wonderful. Let me
How
put
much
this here.
would, this is in my house, Chris always tells me how much he would pay for something. He's like, I would pay $20 for this meal, which means a lot because he's an executive chef, so I know he knows he's already done the food cost on it. So,
That's got to be, being in a house with 2 executive chefs, you must like go right to budget line items
oh yeah,
right away.
we're like, oh, this is,
Oh, they got the good stuff.
yeah. And when we go out to eat, we also talk about like how much we paid for food and then how much it cost to make it.
Wow, so immediately taking the fun out of the meal. That's
yeah.
great. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good.
awesome.
That's great. Okay, I'm sure we have more questions as I just did that B minus effort on plating. So if you've got questions, we've got time for about 3 more questions. We'd love to hear what people are asking.
We have a question from Bill Bottoms.
Of course you do.
Hey, Bill.
I'm ready.
Can this recipe be made in a slow cooker?
Yeah, I think Lynn Bryant is making it in an Instapot. So yes, it absolutely can be made in a slow cooker.
And you just have to know the simmer settings for it.
Yeah, you would just have to know the simmer settings. Also, can I answer a question for Bill Bottoms from earlier today?
We got pre-submitted questions.
Yes, pre-submitted questions. So he asked me a question about smoked paprika. So smoked paprika is actually smoked. So it is dried red sweet chilies. That's what all paprika is made out of. Regular paprika is just those crushed ground chilies. Smoked paprika is actually those chilies dried in a smokehouse. And they're typically smoked with oak.
Huh.
So,
Cool.
yeah. And that's why paprika like kind of runs the gamut of colors, is because it just depends on like what the chilies look like that year when they crush them and ground them. So sometimes it's like orange, sometimes it's bright red, sometimes it's very dark red. You should always, always, always taste your paprika before you add it into something, because it, as much as the color changes, so does the spiciness of it. So you can buy paprika at the same place that has the same name and looks like exactly the same kind, but it can be like 2 or 3 times hotter than the last time you purchased it. It just depends on the year and like the crop cycle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Other questions?
Rob is wondering why saute the meat first and then add the onions and garlic instead of vice versa.
Hey, Rob.
So in this recipe, saute the meat first and then the onions, because you're going to stew it all together. So it's all going to end up together in the end anyway. But like I get it, because my inclination would be to do the onions first, and I think it doesn't, like, you could do it either way. It doesn't really matter.
I did think, though, that when I made it this time, Rob, that there was more to deglaze when the meat went first rather than the onions and garlic. So I don't know if that's fact or not, but when I made it, I did the accident reverse, where I did onions and garlic first, and there wasn't as much to deglaze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Other questions?
Both Craig and Amanda are wondering why use the cover to simmer. Is that the right method to do? Do you take the cover off, keep it on?
So I leave, if I'm doing it on the stovetop, leave the cover on slightly cracked. And the reason I leave it slightly cracked is because you want to let that steam escape. It will help your sauce reduce a little bit. If you cover it like all the way so your cover has a tight seal, then what happens is your steam goes up, runs right back down the sides, goes right back into your sauce. So you end up with like, your sauce is a little bit watery. If you just crack it a little bit, the steam comes out and then your sauce thickens up a little bit faster.
Nice.
Follow-up question from Mike. Does water boil faster with the lid on or off?
On.
Science.
You will hear me yelling in the kitchen constantly because these are huge. And so you fill it up with water and then you have to wait for it to boil. And then this happens.
Oh.
And I'm like, it's never gonna, you can't look at it. You gotta leave the lid closed and it will come up to a boil much faster because you're trapping all the heat inside. It's not just escaping right out the top. So.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Summer, we hear you have an obsession with wooden spoons. Do you have a favorite spoon?
Oh, it's funny you ask about that.
No.
Let's see. I do have some spoons here. That's funny. So this one's not really a spoon. It's a spatula. But I have enamelware pots at home, and so I use this in my house all the time. This is a spurtle. That's right. That's the name of it. It's called a spurtle.
Spurtle, folks.
And
our
it
new mascot.
It is what I use to break up ground meat when I'm like sauteing ground meat, because it's a little bit sturdier. This is my favorite wooden spoon.
Cricket bat.
I bought 4 of them when I got them, and I keep the other ones hidden away. And this is the only one that's out in use right now. And I love it because it has like a little pointed corner right here that gets right into the edges of the pan. So you can get all those little bits out.
I love you talking about your spoons like people talk about their pets. I love that.
So these are my spoons and I love them. And if anything happens to them, I get very upset. If they are not where they're supposed to be, I get very upset.
I love it. So if you have enjoyed being with us tonight, I would love to invite you to join us at one other moment where we're kind of going to welcome people into our kitchen and welcome people into our event. Our annual Taste for Life is now the Taste for Life Home Edition. It's all going online this year, and we are currently selling these very souped up party kits that Sarah and her team have put together incredibly well. And I will tell you, this is an unbelievable kit that comes to you. It's got everything you need to throw an amazing cocktail party. You can find everything you need at projectangelheart.org/taste. That's projectangelheart.org/taste. We are selling boxes until they sell out, so you should buy them quick if you're interested. However, if you're not interested in a box but you want to join us that night nonetheless, we do have participant-only tickets that are also available. You can buy those at Taste. One of the best things is that night we have a $50,000 donation match opportunity. So anybody who's thinking that they might be looking for another year-end gift, we'd love for you to join us for that event. We're really excited about bringing everybody back in, and you may actually get to see some of the freezer for that event. We're going to mix this up a little bit. I really appreciate all the kind things people have said in the chat. You guys are our greatest supporters. That's what made doing this tonight, even though we had a little bit of nerves, it made us so excited and kind of heartwarmed knowing that you were here with all of us. Summer, any last words for everybody?
No, just thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
This has been a joy. You will get an email from us with a link to the recording if you want to go back and watch this again. We'll also work on getting the ingredients to that spice packet. We'll try to put them together. So it may take us a few days to get the recording out, but it's coming your way. Again, if you don't get our emails, if you had to call us for something, please go online and sign up for our emails, and we'll make sure that you get what you need that way. Thanks everybody for attending tonight. This was a wonderful dinner. I hope you have a fantastic fall, and this is only the beginning of amazing dinners throughout the rest of the year. Thanks for joining us. From all of us here at Project Angel Heart, have a good night.